Okay.
You want to drive him into the bit. Give him the shoulder tap cue. Okay, so I'm here with Miss Safari. Safari's a 4-year-old quarter horse. I don't exactly know how she's bred. She has a habit of popping out a lead on her turns, especially around the barrel. So I've set up, this is not a drill I came up with. This is from 𝗫𝗏, and she's a world champion mounted shooter. Look her up. She's pretty cool. So we've got 4 barrels here, and we make a cloverleaf pattern. I did this with her the other day, and because she was popping out a lead so much, it gave me the idea that before she goes home, I could record it as content for my Patreon page. But then also, this would be something that her owner can watch, and they can do this at home. And so anyways, excuse me, got a little bit of a cold. A cold in the middle of July, but that's how it goes sometimes. So she was very fresh this morning. I was doing some stuff in the round pen. I was sacking her out with a rope around her flank and letting her buck that out and just kind of get that out of her system, but she bucked pretty hard trying to get that rope off. So she's pretty sweaty right now, but she has a tendency to want to buck sometimes going around the barrel, especially the tighter the turn, the more likely she is to pop out of that turn on a buck. So right now we're just going to walk it, let her cool off, and then we'll go into the drill. I want this to be the last thing we do today anyways, because this is what I'm focusing the most on with her right now, is getting this barrel turn correct. So coming in wide and then turning sharp. Now, where she's popping out a lead is right at the point, usually, not always, but usually it's right at the point where you're making that real sharp turn around the barrel. So right here, we're coming in wide, called picking your pocket. You want that inside shoulder up, and she has a habit of dropping it. Right there is where she's popping out a lead. So as soon as that turn gets real sharp and real difficult for her, she's wanting to pop out a lead in the back end. Usually, not every time, but it is a problem with her turns. So normally the front end stays on the correct lead. Now, with that said, I will do this drill first a couple of times, working on just getting that turn correct. And once it feels pretty good, she is still not 100% gun broke, but she's really come a long ways with it. I'm going to shoot and then slow her down, let her catch her breath, and then we'll go the other way and do the exact same thing. So the structure is pretty important. You want to keep your weight on her back end. Now, doing that, it's going to discourage her from popping out a lead. Keeping that inside shoulder lifted will also discourage her from popping out a lead. But you don't want to lean forward and put your weight on their front end, because that just makes it easier for them to swap leads in the back end. So keep your weight shifted to the back. So get her body already curved before you come into the turn. And I'm going to try to come out. She tries to sometimes cut too sharp, which is normal. A lot of horses will do that. But I'm trying to come really more out here to the center each time I come out of the turn. I'm going to go ahead and put my earplugs in so I don't have to worry about it later. Okay, now she cuts it too sharp like that. I'm going to use that inside leg and say, get off my leg, because I was asking her in advance not to do that. She did it anyway. It's important to keep your horse's body curved and not let them, you don't want to come into this turn just perfectly straight. You want to be thinking ahead. So getting them to turn and bend, and then cut sharp here. So I'm really using my inside leg and inside rein coming into the turn. And then when I get to the opposite point of the barrel over there, then I lay on my outside rein and outside leg and say, okay, now turn. So right here it's bend, inside leg, inside rein. Now outside rein, outside leg says turn. So again, your inside leg and your inside rein gets the horse's body to bend. Going into the turn. Keep your weight shifted to the back. Too many people lean forward, and that's what causes a lot of these problems. You want to lean back, bend, and really have to use your legs. Usually when people are leaning forward when they're riding their horse a lot, it's because they either have back pain, but more often than not, it's they feel insecure about using their legs, or they don't know how to use their legs. If you'll use your legs, you'll find that you'll be able to rock back and sit more comfortably and shift your weight to their back end. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kick her into a trot. Good girl. And I'm using my inside leg coming out of that turn because I don't want her turning it quite so sharp. I'm aiming for the center of this clover right here. Keeping her soft and driven into the bridle the entire time. I don't want her going straight anywhere. Nice and bent. Nice and bent. And I can already feel her hip as we're going around that barrel. I can already feel her hip swinging to the outside. So I know she's probably going to be popping out a lead again today. Hopefully not as much. Adjust my reins here. And the tie down's kind of new too. She's pretty high-headed, and I'm just letting her fight with that tie down. What that does is I have found that the tie down helps keep me out of their mouth. I really try to leave their mouth alone as much as possible. So by using that tie down, I can leave her mouth alone just a scotch, and she can just fight with that on her own. I don't have it very tight, especially when they're new to it. You want that tie down to be just a little bit on the loose side so they can get used to it, because first they hit it, or first couple times they hit it, they kind of fight with it and freak out a little bit. They don't know what to do. You're swinging that hip out. We're going to stop doing that. So I'm going to shorten my reins and really try to drive her into the bridle more to keep her from swinging her hip out in the turn, because she's hollowing out on me. Okay, when I asked her to stop, she just laid on that bit. She stuck her nose out, and if y'all saw that from that angle. So we're going to turn and back her up off the bit, go the other way for a second. See, she'll do it now. See, she's not giving. When I stopped, she's sticking her nose out. It wasn't as bad that time, but she's still tough in the face. I'm trying to get her to soften up in that bridle. There we go. Good girl. Since I'm right-handed, this drill is easier to the left because of the way I draw my guns and I shoot with my right hand. It's just easier, but you got to do it both ways. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one again. There we go. This is less about training me. This drill is really good at teaching you how to do gun changes and barrel turns. I'm more focused on the horse. See, she's wanting to dive down. She wanted to drop that shoulder and make a sharp right, and I had to use that to push her out. There you go. There you go. There you go. Pick her into low. Good girl, much better. This is only our second time to do this. Good girl. Much better. Good. She would have already popped out a lead by now on the first time we did this. Good. I should have recorded the first session. She was wanting to drop her shoulder a little bit on that turn, so I'm going to try to come a little wider. Okay, now turn. There, good. I'm just focused on keeping my weight to rock to the back. Very nice, 𝗻𝗵𝗻, very nice. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to point first, so she knows. Okay, I'm going to shoot on this one maybe. Yeah. Okay, good. Trot. She got her head up and was fighting the bit a little bit when I shot. She's starting a little worried. That's okay. Okay. All right, good. Now we're just going to trot. Now, let's talk about what I would do if she had popped out a lead. That's really important. So, let's say here we are. I'm on the right lead. I'm still loping, and I'm going to come into this turn here. We're going to pretend. So right lead all the way till about right here. So she pops out a lead. I'm going to lift up that inside rein to keep that inside shoulder up. And I'm going to keep turning this barrel. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to keep her on a circle, a small circle. So while I'm doing this, I'm pushing her forward, not letting her slow down. Really pushing her forward. Inside rein, outside leg, a little bit towards her hip. I'm really focused on sitting back, and I'm going to wait for her to pop back in the lead. And as soon as I do, usually it's somewhere over here, then I'll let her out on a big circle so she can, because it's much easier for them to lope straight than it is on a tiny circle. So as soon as she gets that lead, I'm going to let her out onto a bigger circle and slow her down and let her have a release there. Okay, so now, good, she didn't stick her nose out that time. Good, I want you to back straight. She has a tendency to push her hip to the left. There, good. Okay, now we're gonna go to the other way and do the exact same thing. Lots of bend, good girl. Might speed her up a little bit to see if she stays on that correct lead with increased speed. I'm going to do it gradually increase speed. Okay, cut it too sharp. Now see, she popped out a lead. There we go. Now, the reason she hit that barrel is because as I was asking her to stay bent and collected so I could control this turn, she just wanted to lean on me. So she did it on that one too. So I'm gonna come around and do this again. Okay, see? As soon as I come out of that barrel turn, she braced up. That was very subtle. Good. Doing it again. Popped out a lead. There we go. There. So stay in that turn until she corrects herself. She did it again. So the faster you go, the more likely she is to pop out a lead. Doing it again. There, now let her out. Good. Really got to focus on sitting back when I come out of that turn with her. Not so much pulling back on her face, but just turning her. Sit back, putting my hands forward, saying, come out of that turn. Popping out the lead. Yeah, anytime you turn sharp, she wants to, that speed, she'll pop out. Good, that was nice right there. No, I didn't say cut sharp. Shoot. And I don't have to shoot at a lope. I can shoot at a trot while she's catching her breath. It gives her something to look forward to, because she's thinking, I get to catch my breath when she shoots. That's pretty nice. Good girl. I don't want her cutting it so sharp. Good. Good girl. And turn. Nicely done. Testing out shooting at the 2 o'clock position just to see what she would do. She handled that pretty good. The big thing with her is she was getting pretty stiff and bracy, like really bracing up against the bit. So that as she's gotten softer, she's gotten easier to control her. Yeah, big sigh, that's good. Yeah. So you can do a little spin. Good. Here. There you go. Good. Soft. Stay soft and driven as that bit. Very good, girl. All right. Still have some rounds in my other gun, so I'm going to go back and go to the right. Got a little too close on that one, so I'm going to turn it again. That horse has to stay, like, you can't have any pressure on the bit. So you want to feel like your reins are light the entire time. And then, so they got to keep that front end up. They got to keep a bend, and they can't be pushing on that rein. So here we are, I'm driving her forward, Keeping her bent, driving her into that bridle, keeping her soft the whole time. That's where you can really control your turns and control her feet. And get that nice, perfect barrel turn. But with her, I've really got to focus on leaning back. And I'm not pulling back on her face. I got my hands forward when I'm coming out of that turn, and I'm neck reining on her a little bit there. But I really got to shift my weight to the back. It's a timing thing. Okay. And I like to start this drill, like when I go into my lope, I like to do it coming out of a turn, like right here. I asked you to get off that thing. She wasn't listening to my inside leg right there. Good girl. That was better. Much better. Don't worry about that. I think a lot of the reasons when they're doing a barrel turn and they're popping out a lead, it's because they're getting too close to that barrel. And the rider is sticking them with that inside leg, and or they're leaning forward too much. There we go. That was beautiful. Good job, Safari. Still gonna keep shooting. Good job. Stay soft. I'm gonna let her gradually slow down. I don't want her hitting the brakes too hard because she knows how to stop. I don't want her bracing up though. She tends to be bracy. And when those horses brace up in the front end, that's when you start getting the bucking. So I want to keep her feet freed. I want to keep her driven into the bridle. Now, as she advances, I'll increase her speed in these turns, with the anticipation that she's probably going to make some mistakes and pop out a lead again, and I'll just keep correcting it. But as she gets better and better, I can add more and more speed to it and more shots at a time. Good girl. All right. See, I want to slow her down to her walk without her raising her head. I want her to be soft right there. Good job. Okay. We are done. What's up, Megan?